What's going on? Move the Mouse here, back in the town of Santa Rica with our Let's Play series as we continue, and we've done it. We've reached 75,000. Now, before we get started on this episode and start dropping in some monuments, I want to talk about a little bit of the expansion that happened offline, and also something that a commenter had mentioned. The name Santa Rica is one of those generic names that's automatically generated by the game. I just went with it. And it should actually be San Rico or Santa Rica, technically. At least that's what the commenter pointed out. But either way, it was auto-generated by the game, so don't blame me. I've expanded this wedge out, and that's basically what happened since the last episode. So this is a giant wedge right here of offices, and it looks like a couple people have died on the job. That 9-to-5 grind will kill you. So I built this wedge here, and I did a nice 6-lane road up the middle. There's 6-lane roads on either side to support the traffic, and then it's 2-lane roads the rest of the way through. Now, district-wise, I started to carve out some space for leisure. So this is going to be kind of like a little nightclub area. We might extend that down, get rid of some of these offices, and make these bottom couple blocks really focused on tourism and leisure. This one is all tourism right now. This is a little leisure spot. We wanted to give a bit of a buffer. If you see what I did with the zoning over here, there's office zones between that and the residence, and then I'm leaving this block open for a park. This will be a park, and I dropped one of the unique buildings in there for now at least, and then this will be our big central park. So when Park Life hits consoles, we'll do that. In the meantime though, before we actually drop in monuments, let's do a quick look and see where stuff is at, because I've only got $2.3 million right now, which is not enough for all of the monuments. Power-wise, though, it looks like we just got to the electricity needs with what we had, so maybe it is time to consider one monument. We get the fusion power plant. What have we not placed for the space elevator? The airport, the stadium. And then we don't have these last two unlocked yet. The recycling plant, we're going to need to do the farming. I'll probably do that on another map, but I do want to get that in here, especially for green cities. So I'll get going on that in a side city, and so I can build that and plop that in here too. So let's throw this here for now. We'll probably move this. Maybe I'll move this. No, I'm going to put it over here. It's fine. It is fine for now. Because we're going to rethink this area. This is not where power is going to be. Now, that building on its own, I'm not going to demolish these yet, but I am certainly not going to pay the upkeep on them, because we don't need them anymore. So we can definitely get rid of those from a an upkeep standpoint. We'll keep them now. Maybe we'll put them somewhere in the map to make it look interesting. So when we do those flybys, it kind of seems like something's going on there. But this is going to have our power needs covered for quite a while, potentially indefinitely in this city. So yeah, now we're producing a little bit more energy than we need. I think we can back down the electricity budget. Oh, so we didn't need to do the fusion power plant yet. We had our budget at 75%. I don't know why it's jumping around like that. I swear I'm not hitting down on the D-pad. We do have this cranked up right now because of a bit of a death wave. And we could drop some more cemeteries around the city to help out with that. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea. Somebody suggested putting one in Central Park, because it wouldn't break up the theme too much, but I don't know how I feel about that. I'll think about that one. So $1.3 million. We could start cleaning up some of the ground pollution. What's our sewage problem? Is it availability? It is. Oh, these are not getting enough power from that one turbine, so that's interesting. Let's drop one more in here. Cover that. That is not the one I want. I want that one. That should fix this issue over here. Spread some more power. And that'll solve our sewage problem. I didn't realize that was on the cusp of using too much electricity there. Why's that one going on and off? Not economy. Info views. Both in the green. We're good there. So, this is what I wanted to do next. Now, just like you wouldn't normally do 3 university buildings right next to one another, I zoned this off. I don't know how I feel about this. I think I'm going to get rid of this. I wanted to have some commercial spaces right around the stadium. But I don't know how I feel about this because now I can't kind of fly in over here and see across the street. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to undo that. But if we were walking around on foot, we would still have the same experience down there. But I think I might plant some trees and make this feel a little bit more open. It's like that one. Yeah, that one's abandoned. So just like you wouldn't do... I always get sidetracked. A lot of noise happening over here. Also due to the stadium, so... not having a commercial business right across the street would help a little bit there. I think I got sidetracked twice now. So just like you wouldn't have 3 university buildings next to one another, we just did this for aesthetics. You also wouldn't have 2 airports next to one another, but that's exactly what I want to do over here today. Is I want to have like this massive hub, if you will, and I want to figure out kind of where I want to throw these. So I was thinking like we could have a, you know, your standard airport terminal. And then if I could tuck this in somewhere behind, I want to center this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on that side, 5 on that side. So I think I'm going to do this for the regular airport. And then I was thinking about if we can cram it in, let's see. We might be able to just get that in on the side of the map. I think I'm going to move that other one because I kind of want to have this more down here. So let's extend this loop out a bit. But I was thinking of having just a, you know, massive terminal, regular terminal, and then an internationals. So if we build this road out, we could do a one-way, keeping with the theme here. Build a one-way segment out this way. Move the airport down there. I might rework these roads a bit to do this. But this should give us just enough room. That's okay, right there. And we'll pause it because we don't need the building complaining about water. And I want to bring this kind of over here close. Oh, should we have the runways kind of line up? Is that dangerous? It's probably dangerous. But I also don't want to have the road network kind of coming onto the runway for the other side here. So let's see. We could kind of cram it in. Do we do it at like a 45? 45 that way doesn't fit. I think I'm going to kind of line up the runways, but we'll stagger them just ever so slightly. Where can we cram it in? Right next to the highway. We can always move it. Now, I want to try and smooth out the slope there a little bit because that looks a little silly. One thing that I love on PC is I've made some custom parks. And let's crank up the size and strength there and try and smooth this out as best we can. But I've made some custom parks, and they're just pavement and parking spots, but you can slap those on this road that runs along the airport, and it really gives it a nice look. People will park there. It doesn't fill up the most. I guess it depends on how much volume you have at your airport, but it really makes it feel more alive. And to see a big parking lot in front of the airport, it's kind of odd to me that they don't have parking like some structures do. If you look at the malls and things like that, they have parking spots out front. I mean, that's a decent number, but you know, for a mall that big in comparison to, you know, a person that size, you know, you'd have a massive parking lot back there. This doesn't really have any parking, right? There's parking for planes. At the regular airport also no parking, so it's kind of weird how they do that. Let's make sure this is as smoothed out as we can. This cut down on some of those ridges in the terrain. That looks pretty good. Not too bad. We could have smoothed this out before and it would have made it a little bit better. Let's see what we've got over here. Now we don't have any water yet over here. We'll do that and we'll run some power as well from the nearest spot that we can. We've got to figure out kind of how to loop this all in. So I wonder how sketchy our takeoff. So at least they're not quite parallel, but we've got this huge area to bring people into the city. We've got to get connected to this road. Now this is a two-way road, just as, oh, this one doesn't have a road. This one sits on a road, but you could force traffic one way or the other by looping it around. How do we want to do that? This definitely may change down. This definitely may change in the future. But I think it would kind of make sense to loop people in from here if it'll let me curve it. Let's see if it'll let me curve it the way that I want. I mean, that would be okay. Where is that click? Right there. So if we bring traffic in this way, again, this is a two-way road, but you can basically force the traffic to come around the way that you want because they're not going to path this way to then U-turn. So coming in off the highway, I did this as a cloverleaf for now, so that we can bring these roads up through here and start to work on our small town side of the highway. And let's see, so we've got this route coming in here. We've got the rotary. I don't really need these slip lanes in this configuration, but I did it. And then we've got a 4-lane road coming here. That splits off into this almost roundabout, if you will. And it gets the traffic over here. How do we want to get them out? Maybe this would make more sense to split it off this way and bring them there and then dump them back that way. Let's do that. That makes more sense. So one-way roads, curve tool. We'll curve it into there. That is good. And then coming off of here, maybe. Let's do freeform. So that's all right. That should be okay. We get the traffic coming in here. International departures is on your right. Coming to the airport, getting off. Same rotary as the ones that would be going to the local airport, but this shouldn't have as much traffic, especially since they're right next to one another. We should be able to support that. And then it's 4 lanes coming off into here to the rotary, which should be quick. You can get out to the highway, you can get to the main downtown, or you can get down to the entertainment and tourism area, which is down this 4-laner. And right now is still seeing some growth problems. As you can see, we've got some abandoned buildings. Some that are complaining there's not enough customers. Having the airport should help that out. And we could also do shipping. I say shipping, but shipping of people. The port, the harbor. So that's another option that we can do to bring tourists in. So like we could drop that in right here, hook that into this same area. We've got nightclubs over here, hotels and restaurants and all sorts of unique buildings and tourism. So plenty of stuff for people to visit. Let's get this watered and powered. I think you only need to cover the building, so let's do that. And this big building, just to be safe. And let's figure out where we need to spread power to. So we can run from there to there. And what's the easiest route? Kind of come up here for now. Let's do that, and then I just realized we didn't really hook up a... Oh, I canceled that somehow. Let's do that, and then I didn't hook up the regular airport back into this roundabout. And then we should be able to hit play. We'll see where... We can't really afford too many monuments right now. One ways. That's okay. I kind of like it. And we'll see how much traffic really gets generated over here. This might be a sore spot. We might need to separate these out. But I thought you gotta get as creative as you can, especially on consoles, because you can't, you know, mod stuff and move stuff everywhere and drop individual props in. So I wanted to kind of have a big airport area, and I thought that was kind of a nice way to throw the noise pollution of the airports off to the side of the map and sort of fade our town off into the distance, right? You wouldn't have zoning right on top of the airport in most cases, so it makes sense to have some separation, and that could kind of be, you know, our town line. It gives us a reason not to necessarily zone over here. What we could do is have another highway exit on this side so that people coming this way don't have to clog up this T intersection to then get immediately off the highway that way. We could kind of bring them, maybe tunnel them under or around and hook them into this same loop, but we'll see. If this becomes a problem and it backs up to here, we know what we can do to resolve that is give people a way to get to the airport from there. Now the next big project for the city without a doubt is going to be the metro. So I thought maybe I could plan out some stops and not necessarily do the whole line, but we might be able to drop plenty of stations in the meantime. Monument wise, we hadn't constructed a stadium, which technically isn't under the leveled unique buildings. I think it's just under the traditional. It's a sports arena. Where is stadium? Or no, it is under the uniques. I take it back. I just hadn't decided on a spot yet. There it is. I think it's the only one I hadn't done yet. So we want this to be able to support some traffic. And right now it looks like over here is going to be okay. I plop this over here for now. That's not staying there. We're gonna zone out this, fill that in a bit, but that got moved to work on these neighborhoods over here. In case you're wondering why is that the Grand Mall? Why that's just kind of sitting off on its own. We could do the stadium over here for now until we develop this zone out a bit, because that is actually, now that I see that noise pollution bubble, let's stick it off on its own, because that's the residents there are gonna hate that. This is totally temporary. But yeah, look at that. So look at that noise pollution bubble. It's got a happiness bubble, but most of it is encompassed by that noise. So we will make sure that doesn't affect anybody, except for the police station there, which won't mind. We will water and power that. And then we should have all the requirements met for all of the vanilla monuments. So we'll extend power. Now we've got a stadium too. On top of our football arena over there, which is driving the residents crazy. I am going to de-zone this. So I think a little commercial here on the corner here by this is okay. Maybe even that, but I don't like that as much because I like a couple commercial buildings right there. Let's go into zoning and clear this out. I'm not crazy about how it looks, so fill tool, take that out, and we can just de-zone all of this. I thought it would be kind of cool to have some zoning there. Maybe what we could do is fill this corner block in. I was kind of saving that for a park, but it would be kind of nice if we set this to small brush, and I'm going to de-zone or paint a new district anyways, so that works out well. So basically anything zoned on this block, and specifically low density commercial. This way we can get, you know, coffee shop or a Whole Foods. I forget what they call their Whole Foods knockoff in here. So that is a local and organic produce, and it should only affect right there. So, you know, right around the corner from universities, some coffee shops and things like that. Hipster kids will be happy. Let's just go ahead and clear these out. We can fill this up with some trees if we don't want to see the highway from the university campus, but oh, I hope that snaps in well. 2-lane roads. Looks like it's fine. Okay. But I like the look of this being open much better rather than having the backside all businesses. That just didn't look right. It's the first time I saw it fully populated, and I was not crazy about it, so. A lot of traffic leaving the airport. One of the things is let's see, money-wise, I know we can't do it yet, but it's what we probably want to do next is the space elevator, because this brings in so many tourists. You can actually drop it. If we can fit it, we'll put it like right here. People will walk from the airport, come see this thing, and then leave. And that'll reduce some of the traffic. If you have it within walking distance, it's a big plus because it draws so many people in. One of my previous builds, I put it right next to the airport, like as close as it would go, and it was just a constant stream of Sims walking back and forth. So that was nice not to have as much traffic on the road as a result. We could put in Eden, we could put in one of these other buildings, but let's look at the ongoing cost. 64 a week. That's 14,000 a week. I mean, Eden would be nice to kind of clear up some of the pollution around our dumps. But our ground pollution overall is not too bad. We've got one dump here servicing this part of the city. One dump here which is empty. So I'm thinking maybe we need to look at our processing capabilities down here. We do have 2 recycling plants and 2 incinerators, which is the same as what we have up here, because the dump is off. But obviously we're covering a few more people on this side of the map than we are over here. So this one's filling up a little quicker. We do need more processing capabilities over here. Maybe we could cram in something over here. The recycling plants don't seem like they do that much pollution. Or if they do, it's very little. It seems to be more spilling over from the dump and the incinerators. We could maybe get those in a little closer. It looks like people hate the noise, but the ambulances come and they make them well, and they're good for a while. Now they're complaining about the noise because of this commercial sector over here. This is standard commercial. which in retrospect I did way too much of in one chunk. We did a lot of office space and some green buildings here, some green apartments on the coast. And then this is still a matter of concern, but we haven't serviced this with subways, taxis, any of that. We really haven't done transit as a focus in this city at all yet, which is amazing that we got to this point without that. We've got one windy metro line that kind of goes all through the city. Let's take a look. I've said it before. It's time to find at least the spot for our stops and kind of come up with a game plan for how we want to map this out. So I'm thinking we kind of have the town in these, I was gonna say logical, they're kind of illogical at some point, these wedges. So we could have a route that kind of goes around this wedge and then around this southern part. And we could use the same set of pipes up both sides if we're careful where we place stations. And then you could have like crisscross stations that connect in the middle so people can switch lines. We could do something like that. The upper part of the city is, you know, pretty easy. I could go all around the northern route, or maybe even two routes. So one here around this area, and then one around the center ring. Could even reuse some of that tunnel that we already have. But we want to give people ways to get from A to B, from north to south. You know, when we look at the zoning, you got to think about where people want to get to. So they want to go from home to school or home to work. So they might go from, you know, a green zone. They might work in a blue zone or a office zone. And they might stop on the way back at a commercial location before heading back home. So you want to spread your zones out. Like, again, I did too much commercial all in one spot here for the most part. You should have this kind of more spread out. And if you look at how I did like the original part of the town, I kind of ran commercial down the main street and then tucked in all the neighborhoods behind it. And that works pretty well. And as you gain more demand for a certain zone, you could just, you know, if I have more residential demand, you just spin up a new neighborhood back here. If you have more commercial demand, you know, maybe you put some commercial on one of these side streets here that we haven't zoned out yet. But it's good to kind of keep it spaced out so that people don't have to go too far to get to those other zones. But you want to take them through zones. We have fire coverage over here, hopefully. You want to take them through zones. There we go. Let's see what our coverage looks like. So this is actually a good time to see. Did I do something wrong with my one-way over here? Or is that just not covering that well? So if we do the fire right there, it covers everything nicely. And do police right across the street. So I don't want my airports to burn down. That's an expensive mistake to make. Got a plane coming in. See all the people get out. Whoa! I don't know how they got the cars in the terminal, but that's pretty crazy. So let's see where all these people go. I'm betting that they go right into the tourist area. Let's see where all this traffic goes. We're on 3 times speed. Yeah, it looks like a lot of them are preferring to stay right for the most part. Let's see where they go. I'm following that green car, by the way. I could actually follow it. That would be better. If we want to make it really tricky on ourselves, we could hop in a car and actually try and tail him, but it's very difficult. Let's do it. Totally gonna fail here, by the way. So drive. We'll get in right here. I don't want a donut car. Okay, you can change your cars. Good. So we'll play. We can remember the buttons. I already lost him. Okay, he's going left. Keep an eye on him. Where'd he go? Did he turn in right there? He's a resident? Well, that was unexciting. Or is this him up here? Let's pretend this is him up here. Let's see where this guy goes. Thank God you could drive through other cars. Oh, you can't drive through hydrants. We lost them. It's over. Alright. Well, that wasn't fun. Or maybe it was for you. The driving is kind of tough. Certainly to keep up with AI and their full speed 90-degree corners. I would love to see somebody come in on the international airport just to know that it is functioning and working. We don't have the metro hooked up here. I think I was saying about 10 minutes ago that I wanted to find a spot for some metros, but this is honestly going to be a really big plan here. We might just totally scrap what I've put in there because it doesn't necessarily make sense. I kind of want to build off a brand new grid. This makes sense down here, right? It's all kind of along the main strip. We got to stop out there in the suburbs. But this is going to require some serious reworking. I think what I'll do is let's pause. Let's go into info views. Let's look at traffic. So especially where we have high traffic intersections, like we've got a metro station right here. But if there's a lot of traffic in certain parts of the town, it's telling you that, hey, there's a lot of cars that want to be here. So we want to make sure that we're covering all our unique buildings. So we will definitely have maybe even 2 stops or 2 lines, maybe that meet in the middle. And have some stations down here. I think, yeah, I left just enough room for a metro station between some of these buildings for that exact reason. And we can knock out, you know, some of these zone buildings in between the uniques if we wanted to. But we definitely want to service the touristy nightclub areas, the unique buildings that are going to draw in lots and lots of people, because these are going to be constantly busy. As you can see, I mean, there's a fair number of cars parked out front. You've got, you know, plenty of people walking around. When we do drop in the space elevator, that one absolutely has to have a T-stop unless we put it like right here and people can just walk to it from the airport. But putting the tallest structure in your town right next to the airport probably isn't that great of an idea. But the planes don't seem to mind. They'll fly right through it. But I think that's a good spot for today. So what I'll do is I will start to plan out the metro tunnels. We are at 87,000. Wow. I didn't even notice how fast we're climbing up now. We've got some problems. We'll take a look at where things are at, see where we can expand, and do it kind of naturally. I'm going to fill in over here. We're going to start to get this out of here. We'll find a new spot for a dump, maybe more central behind here. Maybe this could be our new dumping area. And we'll drop in the Eden project so that it doesn't actually spread pollution to anywhere that people live. But I might be able to just connect this under the highway, kind of do a dump right here, center of the highway, cut it off with some trees so you can't see it. You don't want it to be uninviting when you're coming into the city. But we'll see if we can tuck away the garbage somewhere and provide service to both sides of the highway from one area. I don't know if we can service down here, but they aren't complaining yet, so it's been pretty good. I mean, if you think of about a dump truck starting up there, coming all the way through down to this corner of the town, it's doing it. It's managing it right now. But the problems will only get worse as we approach 100,000. So I'm going to plan out the metro lines, and maybe what I'll do is I'll even tunnel everything, and then I'll actually create the lines in the next episode. And you can kind of see, I'll walk you through what I was thinking with the metro lines. And if anybody notices any glaring mistakes, certainly can point out in the comments and I can adjust things before I get too far down the line. But I'll start to plan out the stations and then draw out the lines on the next episode. We can kind of talk through that, get some ideas for how to get people all over this city, because they want to move in still, even though we don't see the residential demand. I mean, we're still climbing. So I hope everybody won't, but I hope most of you like the aesthetics of the city. I think we got away from the grid in some regard. Like, we started out with this very dense grid here in the center, but I think I've kind of split it up in a way where it's flowing and it's working, but it's not too rigid. You know, I mean, obviously, like each one of these kind of sections has its own kind of rigidity, but they're slightly different from the one next to it. And you've got the offices and the commercial here on the shore, high density downtown, some green buildings, some regular buildings, monuments spread out, and I really do love this university campus. We'll do some more detail on that, and especially when Park Life comes out, we're going to have a ton of fun filling in some of these areas I've left open for that. So that should be good. We'll come up with a spot down here and start building out some more suburbs and get away from these ticky-tacky boxes here. We'll get away from the grid work of that original neighborhood that we started with. But again, this was just to start that first episode, show people kind of how you could start something and reduce some of the problems by minimizing those intersections. But now that we are well on our way to a high-functioning city, it's time to get rid of that and kind of blend it all together and hopefully make it look good, but not too rigid either, where it has some life to it and you can see kind of where it's spun up in pieces and segments. I kind of like that about the cities that you build, is you can see kind of where things started and where different zones were built and sort of what we were thinking along the way when we were building out the town. And I wanted again to kind of have a grid, but get loose and different and shake up the angles here and there, but still keep it high functioning, which you really need for a big downtown area like this. And I apologize, I realize I'm flying all over the place as I'm talking, so hopefully I'm not making anybody motion sick. But in the next episode, again, we'll talk about the metros. So soak in all the color now, because on the next one, we're gonna be looking at everything in black and white. So we'll talk about metro lines. We'll plan out some spots. We'll check on our airports. And metro is the thing that I am most comfortable with. But once we knock that out, we'll start to talk about some of the other options. Maybe we'll find a neighborhood or two we can drop a monorail in, or maybe we could even provide monorail service in one region over here. Just to show people kind of how it works, some ideas to consider. I like it aesthetically. I hate it in actuality, though. It's one of the worst noise polluting things you can do to a region. If anybody's from Chicago, you can certainly back me up. Elevated trains are one of the loudest things I've ever heard in my life when they pass over the cars on the bridges in Chicago. I don't know how anybody gets sleep anywhere near those. It's unbelievable racket, and it shows in City Skylines when you build monorails. So we'll find an appropriate area to do that. We'll drop some bus lines in. We haven't done any of the transit stuff yet, so the fact that we're growing this fast is a fantastic thing, and it should only get better from a traffic perspective. If you did enjoy the episode, as always, likes, comments, shares help the channel and are greatly appreciated. If you're new here, subscribe, hit the bell to get notifications, and until the next one, this is Move the Mouse signing off.